Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our advanced Bible study night. This is the 4th of July, 2023. We'll be dealing with prophecy, current events, and we connecting some dots for those people that are seeking the truth. Let everybody know that you can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. There's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you, lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving on this channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you feel the need to support the channel or donate to it, you can see our PayPal account at the bottom and our Cash App. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is the law that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our advanced Bible study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, the Psalms, current events, and a little need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some Q&A. Then we're going to our topic for discussion, which is we'll be dealing with prophecy and current events and connecting some dots. Okay, and dealing with the book of Isaiah. So this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as our servants David, Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we know that you possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord. Hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna read a song right quick, and then we're going to the current event. Okay. I'm gonna read Psalm 31. It's in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. It's a Psalm of David. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. Bow down thine ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be thou my strong rock, for a house of defense to save me. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for thy name's sake, lead me and guide me. Pull me out of the net that they have laid privately for me. For thou art my strength. Into thy hands I commit my spirit. Thou hast redeemed me, O Lord God of truth. I have hated them that regard lying vanities, but I trust in the Lord. I will be glad and rejoice in thy mercy, for thou hast considered my trouble. Thou hast known my soul in adversities, and hast not shut me up into the hand of the enemy. Thou hast set my feet in the Lord's room. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am in trouble. Mine eyes is consumed with grief, yea, my soul and my belly. My life is spent with grief, my years with sighing. My strength faileth because of my iniquity, and my bones are consumed. I was a reproach among all my enemies, but especially among my neighbors. and in fear to my acquaintance. They that did see me without fled from me. I am forgotten as a dead man out of mind. I am like a broken vessel. For I have heard slander of many. Fear was on every side, while they took counsel together against me. They devised to take away my life. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, Thou art my God. My times are in thy hands. Deliver me from the hand of my enemies and from them that persecute me. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. Let me not be ashamed, O Lord, for I have called upon thee. Let the wicked be ashamed, and let them be silent in the grave. Let thy lying lips, let, let the lying lips be put to silence, who speak grievous things proudly and contemptuously against the righteous. Oh, how great is thy goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear thee, which thou hast wrought for them that trust in thee before the sons of men. Thou shalt hide them in the secrets of thy presence, from the pride of men. Thou shalt keep them secretly in a pavilion from the strife of the tongue. Blessed be the Lord, for he has shown me his marvelous kindness in a strong city. For I said in my haste, I am cut off from before thine eyes. Nevertheless, thou heardest the voice of my supplication when I cried unto thee. O love the Lord, all ye his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful and plentifully reward the proud doers. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Lord. Okay, that was Psalms 31. It's a psalm of David, and he says, In thee, O God, do I put my trust. So from reading that, what I get out of it is that David is continuously praising the Lord and understanding that his praise and his worship is what keeps God looking out for him. So he continuously praising the Lord and then worshiping him at the same time, reminding him, where the two of them standing. Okay. So with that being said, anybody have any comments on that? Okay. We're gonna go to our current events.
Couple major problems here, and I guarantee you that the vast majority of Americans do not know about this. All right, take a look here at this. Okay, directly here from Bloomberg, U.S. manufacturing activity shrinks by the most in 3 years. Here's the details on this, and this could not come at a worse time as we're trying to become more and more independent of China, as we literally could be at war with China, and as they're potentially going to be taking over Taiwan here. A lot of military strategists and our own army thinks that they could be attacking Taiwan, and we may have to defend Taiwan with the U.S.-Taiwan Relations Act that President Biden said that we would put boots on the ground in Taiwan. Our own industry is literally producing less than they have in many, many years. Take a look at this. U.S. factory activity contracted for an 8th month in June, slipping to the weakest level in more than 3 years as production, employment, and input prices retreated. The Institute for Supply Management Manufacturing gauge fell to 46, the weakest, going all the way back to the thick of the pandemic, May of 2020, when basically the whole country was, for the most part, closed on lockdown. And then we're at 46.9 a month earlier, according to data released here on Monday. The current stretch of readings below 50, which indicates shrinking activity, aka a major recession, is the longest since the previous massive recession of 2008 and 2009. The reading was also worse than all but one estimate in a Bloomberg survey of economists. The decline in the ISM production gauge, which also fell to the lowest level since May of 2020, the pandemic, suggests demand for merchandise remains weak as well. The index of new orders contracted for a 10th straight month. Order backlogs shrank, which may help explain a pullback in the measure of manufacturing employment. The ISM gauge retreated to a 3-month low at 48.1, indicates fewer producers adding to payrolls, aka jobs. Many Americans continue to limit their spending on merchandise as they rotate to services and experiences, or just are spending less. Others are simply tightening their belts as they still high inflation takes a toll on their incomes. 11 industries reported shrinking activities in June, led by plastics, rubber products, wood products, and textile mills. Select ISM industry comments said, quote, customer orders have definitely slowed down. Our company thought the second half of 2023 would be better than the first half, but this doesn't seem to be the case. Quote, maintaining a strong order backlog continued to struggle with hiring hourly factory workers and finding qualified management candidates. Higher turnover than desired, pricing is stabilized, but labor cost remains high. The slowing U.S. economy is causing the business forecast to be revised and reduced for the remainder of 2023. Customers are less inclined to purchase far in advance. Yikes. Basically, this is some of the worst data you could think of. U.S. manufacturing is completely in the toilet. We're more reliant on foreign countries now more than ever. It's
no running out of propane, no running out for a fresh Blue Rhino.
boy, I'll tell you, if we do have a trade war, even let's just say we don't even have an actual war where we have to go defend Taiwan, similar to what we're doing with Ukraine right now. So just think about what happened with Ukraine, and we had to cut off buying everything from Russia. Think about if something like that happened with Taiwan, even if we didn't have to put boots on the ground, okay? What was the first thing that happened with Ukraine and Russia? The first thing that really kind of happened was we stopped buying everything from Russia. Think oil, goods, products. Most U.S., if not all, most all American U.S. companies pulled out of Russia on their own accord. They basically said, hey, we don't want anything to do with Russia. These businesses made their decisions on their own. And what did Russia do? Russia just kind of took over their businesses. Like, think about, buildings and companies like McDonald's, their establishments. Russia just took them over and just put, think of the movie Coming to America. They basically turned them into McDowell's, Russian versions, right? So think of this, if this similar situation happened in China, or in Taiwan with China taking them over, if we had a trade war with China, we do kind of have a little bit of a trade war going on right now. Remember the tariffs that Trump put on Chinese products? China actually just said here recently, remove all the tariffs and we will open our lines of communications between our militaries. And that's the only way we'll do it. This is what China said, is if you remove the tariffs and the sanctions. And the U.S. was kind of dumbfounded there. We were like, what tariffs? What sanctions? And China just didn't really specify which ones. They probably mean all of them. I did a previous video on that. If you didn't see that here, I'll link you to that video here. But yeah, the problem with that is that those sanctions of raising the prices on goods actually ended up raising the prices on American consumers because it raised the prices on products coming into the U.S. I'll go into detail. I'll link you to the video on why and how that happened here. But the bigger problem here is that U.S. manufacturing is going down, down, down. And the problem with this is one of the problems with this is that wages are going up, up, up. Americans want to make more money. It's just kind of natural here. I mean, the U.S. minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Who wants to work for that? Does anybody even work for that anymore? So the problem here is that, you look at like the two largest employers in the United States, Walmart and Amazon. Their average hourly wage that they hire people for is around $15 an hour, according to what they say. This is about their average hourly hiring wage. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but this is about their average, okay? So nobody really works for $7.25 an hour. Nobody can really afford to live on that anyways. A lot of people can't even afford to live on $15 an hour. But what this means here is that more and more companies are getting their products manufactured out of the United States. They're getting them manufactured in other countries. So this is a significant problem for the United States because if we run into a World War II type of situation where we have to produce more and more stuff here in the United States. Think of when we switched the factories over to produce all those materials that we needed here. Let's go back to the headline here. Yeah, here's the headline here. U.S. manufacturing activity shrinks by the most in 3 years. And that goes back to the pandemic. Okay, we're basically back to pandemic era manufacturing. U.S. manufacturing slump deepens. Factory gave price pressures is subdued. We're basically back to our country being closed down, the type of factory production.
Okay, any comments on that? You said our manufacturing is going to the dogs for instead of increasing, it's decreasing. Any comments on that? It's all signs of a fading empire. Okay. Yeah, another one.
The latest updates on global finance and some economic trends. Today, we have some groundbreaking news that could reshape the entire international monetary landscape. The BRICS nations, comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are preparing to launch a major new currency that may weaken the role of the US dollar in global payments. But that's not all, as these nations have been making some strategic moves behind the scenes. So stay tuned as we dive into some of the details. So over the past few years, the BRICS nations have been actively buying up large amounts of gold. You may ask why. Well, they have been diligently preparing to reduce their reliance on the US dollar and create an entirely new financial system that could potentially challenge the current order. The accumulation of gold by these nations serves as a critical piece of their strategy. Now, by increasing their gold reserves, the BRICS nations are sending somewhat of a clear signal that they are diversifying away from the dollar and seeking to establish a more solid foundation for their currency initiative. Gold has long been regarded as a reliable store of value, and it could play a crucial role in anchoring the new currency. The timing of this couldn't be more interesting. So on August 22nd of 2023, the BRICS group is set to unveil a major new currency that could shake up the global financial system. This currency will be pegged to a basket of commodities, including oil, wheat, copper, and other essential goods that are traded globally. However, it's worth noting that the latest information from BRICS working groups suggests that the currency may ultimately be linked to the weight of gold. The significance of this development cannot be understated. The BRICS nations collectively possess a substantial share of the world's population, landmass, energy output, and GDP. As of 2023, India and China currently hold the number one and number two spots for world population by country. China also holds the number two spot for total GDP by country, behind the United States. BRICS nations are not just another multilateral debating society, they represent a credible alternative to the current dominance by the Western nation. And now, with their focus on gold and the forthcoming currency launch, they are taking concrete steps to challenge this dominance of the US dollar. To achieve this goal, the BRICS nations are not only expanding their membership, for which they've already received membership bids from 19 different nations, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, but also developing a sophisticated network of capital and communications systems. For instance, they are working on the BRICS cable, which is an optical fiber submarine telecommunication system connecting their member countries. This network not only enhances their chances of success, but also helps safeguard their message traffic from potential spying by other external entities. The potential impact of the BRICS nations' currency revolution and their gold accumulation cannot be underestimated. If successful, it could weaken the US dollar's position as the dominant global reserve currency, leading to a major upheaval in the international monetary system. Nevertheless, the BRICS nations have been steadily making progress in their quest for financial independence. The combination of their gold reserves, the forthcoming currency launch, and the potential creation of a retail driven bond market could accelerate their journey towards establishing an alternative global financial system. As the world watches closely, only time will tell whether the BRICS nations can truly challenge the dominance of the US dollar and potentially reshape the international monetary landscape. My vote is yes. It might take about 5 to 10 years, but it does seem very, very possible. I will continue to update you on any further developments on this situation, but that's all for today's video. If you found this information intriguing.
Okay, any comments on that?
Oh wow! I was watching a video on that today, where the next BRICS summit is going to be in August, right? So they were
Happens when
saying
Go ahead.
they were
destroys each
saying
other.
that in
Go ahead. It's fine. Keep clicking. Go ahead.
okay, excuse me. They were saying that in April there was like 19 countries, right? New 19 countries that was, ready to join BRICS, right? And by
Mm-hmm.
the end of June there was 41,
Okay.
right? So they're saying that most likely the name is going to be changed to BRICS Plus. So
Okay.
yeah, that change is coming and it's happening faster than what we think. So imagine what the summit is going to be like in August. I think we'll learn a lot more then, after the summit, exactly on what's going to be, taking place when it comes to the currency and all of that, because they're ready to ditch that dollar.
Exactly. Right. And then the people that's going to be there, that's going to have a lot to do with it too. Yep. So yeah, you're right. It's a lot of it is centered around this next next meeting they're gonna have. Yeah, so we're gonna go into some need to know information, and that's kind of tied to what we were just talking about. Let me play that.
BRICS has invited Julius Malema and shut down Emmanuel Macron, who shown the interest to be invited to attend the BRICS summit in August in South Africa.
One currency for Africa is a one step for the one currency for the world. If we have said this is the globe, why should they be different currency? Because we exist for one goal, and that goal is humanity. The survival of humanity, and not the survival of the few who are the beneficiaries of the capitalist system. Its aim is to enrich very few people. We are for the continental currency as extent, but the struggle to undermine the dollar in the world were part of it. We welcome that effort. That one currency of Africa must trade with BRICS, Africa to BRICS currency directly, without a middleman called dollar. Because that's what dollar has been in between currencies, and we didn't understand why we can't trade directly with our own currencies. So we welcome that intervention of China, of Russia, of saying, let countries interact and make sure that as we exchange, we use our own currencies. As we trade, let's trade with our own currencies. We were, and we feel vindicated, because we were the first to speak about one currency in Africa. Now people are talking about BRICS, and BRICS goes beyond the borders of the African continent, because we've always been that visionary leadership.
One currency, one central bank, how would that work?
That would be the best. We must all be subjected to the same rules of engagement. All of us must be subjected to the same rules of the World Reserve Bank that tells us this is how all of us must work. Because globalization means that when we become one thing, when we become one globe, let's do things the same. We shouldn't have a big brother approach who says, I've got more money, my currency is worth more than yours, and therefore you're going to listen. There are no tensions in South Africa. There are tensions in France. There's burning in France. There's never been an SABC that left here and went to France and asked your president what is he going to do with tensions in France. Solve your tensions in France and stop imagining tensions in South Africa.
Okay. So like we were just talking, you see that based on what he was just saying, all the African countries are flocking to the BRICS because they treating them like treating them like equals, and they giving them the same opportunities that
This government that
they have. So there's no way they're gonna deal with America. They're running from America. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything they came across while we was out of pocket last week? Okay, no questions or comments. Let me play this right here, and then we'll go into to our topic for discussion. Okay.
Now, I'm so disgusted. There has never been a time in my life where I was ever ashamed of being a black man. No matter how bad things got, I thank God every day for making me a black man. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel that way anymore. We're not even raising children
We're raising animals, animals. And we feed them and we encourage them and we sanction their behaviors. And we can't see what's going on here. I have a change jar in my house. Every day, I take the change out of my pocket and I put it in that jar. When I go dump it in the machine, it's a couple of $100. Every day, I wake up in the morning and Philadelphia News tells me that at least 5 people have been shot overnight, black people, and at least 2 of them are dead. Every day. Every day. Equate that to my change jar and think about it. If we're killing 2 of our own people every day in Philadelphia, 2 of our own people every week in Asbury Park, 2 of our own people every day in Washington, D.C., 2 of our own people every day in Chicago. What are we doing? Genocide. Genocide. We have got to be the greatest source of entertainment on this planet. Every other race of people have to be looking at us and saying, Lord, have mercy. I pray to God that my people never become that pathetic. We're destroying ourselves. We're destroying ourselves. Those of us that are not dying are going to jail. The ones that are successful are marrying white people. So you have a bunch of us killing ourselves. You're locking the rest of us up. And the others are marrying out of the race and having mixed children who will marry white women and have less mixed children who will marry white women and men and erase your behind. And all we do is get balloons and pictures and make murals. And we think that we are celebrating somebody. What we're doing is advertising our ignorance. What we're doing is encouraging our own self-destruction. Where are the adults that are raising these children? Right? Today, I just got back from Home Depot. While I'm in the car, my wife gets a call that some young boys was looking for another young boy, couldn't find him, so they killed his mother. We're damn animals. Animals. Nobody has to do anything else to us because we're doing it to ourselves. For God's sake, the greatest people on the earth has turned into animals, barbaric animals. Every situation calls for a gun. You know what your children are doing. You know. You can't tell me you don't know because you see who they're hanging out with and what their goals are in life. And you sanction that crap and you allow it. And we're destroying ourselves. Genocide. Genocide. I'm so ashamed. I am so ashamed to be a black man today. Because I came from a time when black men were real men. I come from a time where no matter what our situations were, we took care of each other. I come from a time when I could say it loud. Yeah, I was black and I was proud. Not anymore. Not anymore. I am so ashamed of the ignorance in my people, the will and the ability to destroy each other and think that that's really doing something. You better get a grip and realize who the real enemy is. You better get a grip and realize who has conditioned you to do what you're doing to your own people. Genocide. Please stop. Please. I'm asking parents, talk to your children. I'm asking brothers that got more sense than the ignorance out here to please do something other. Do something other than paint people's pictures on your t-shirt and go to their funerals. Do something other than rest in peace on Facebook and never forgotten. We're destroying ourselves. And the rest of the world is just watching and applauding you because you're doing such a good job.
Okay. Any comments on that?
He is speaking the truth. He is speaking the truth. We are more against each other now than I feel as though ever. You know, we don't come together on anything. Anything. You can't have a decent conversation with each other. You can't be on one accord. I mean, nothing. Nothing. And then, just like he said, we need to wake up and realize who the enemy actually is. You know, seem like
Right.
now we would be trying to come closer together, but it's just, I don't know, it's not happening at all.
Right. Yeah. It's like well, we know about Deuteronomy and the curses, but it's like it's been escalated
Right,
in the last days. Because yeah.
right. And I, a question and comment. You know, we are reading the scriptures daily, um, but we seem to continue to make excuses. Um, and that is the part that is so confusing to me, is
Okay.
that, you know, not understanding why we are so deep into the scriptures but continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over. So with, like you said, reading Deuteronomy, you know, 28, and understanding the curses and so forth, it seems as though we would work harder on becoming better people. You know,
Yeah.
it says that, you know, we are chosen, right?
Right.
We are a holy people, but we are few in number. And
Exactly.
even though the ones that, you know, we are few in number, we still seem to not to be able to come together, even when we read and understand who we are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So uh, just for GP to make sense of it, you go to and just the only thing that makes any sense to me that when you look at it is Jeremiah 24, which is it's only 10 verses in there, so I'm gonna read all of them. Jeremiah 24 says, "The Lord showed me, behold, two baskets of figs were set before the temple of the Lord, after Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Judah, with the carpenters and the smiths from Jerusalem and had brought them to Babylon. So if you look at that right there, you'll see that the purpose that Jeremiah came was Israel, the nation of Israel as a whole, the southern kingdom had veered away from. What was it actually started with the 10 tribes, and we was looking at what happened. You got people that was brought there that wasn't Israelites. The 10 tribes had already did enough, and they was carried away to the province over in Assyria. And so the people that he brought there, when they took away the 10 tribes, was heathens. A lot of people don't understand that part of it. They wicked as hell. And so uh, the Southern Kingdom started picking up their ways because they served and they feared the Most High, but in the Lord of Hosts, but they kept serving their own gods. So eventually, the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levites, they picked the same thing up. So that's why Jeremiah had to come on the scene. He brought Jeremiah to warn them that he was going to judge them. So we're going to look at that, so you can compare it to the day. So he says, the Lord showed me, behold, 2 baskets of figs were set before the temple of the Lord after Nebuchadnezzar. After that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away captive Jeconiah, son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Judah, with the carpenters and the smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. One basket had very good figs, even like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket was very naughty figs, which could not be eaten. They were so bad. So look at what the brother was pleading when he said that he remembered a time it was righteous brothers that did what it did. But he said, now this people here are wicked, so wicked, just like we looking at right here. And then 3, then said the Lord unto me, what seest thou, Jeremiah? And he said, figs, good figs, very good, evil figs, very evil, that cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that are carried away captive, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of the Chaldeans for their good. And I will set mine eyes upon them for good, and I will bring them again to the land, and I will build them and not pull them down, and I will pluck them and I will plant them and not pluck them up. So we see right here, same thing. We got a remnant. It's, like we said, thinking like a Hebrew. They're seeking the Most High. They building. They allowing Him to build them up, and they righteous figs. And the Most High got His eyes set on them. Then verse 7 says, and I will give them a heart to know me. See that? So that's a gift. To give them a heart to seek Him, to give you a heart. And I will give them a heart to seek me, that I the Lord, that I am the Lord, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God, for they shall return unto me with their whole heart. And as for the evil fig, here we go, right here, what the brother was just talking about. As for the evil fig, which cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Surely thus says the Lord, so will I give Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his princes, and the residue of Jerusalem that remain in the land, and them that dwell in the land of Egypt. I will deliver them to be removed into the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb and a taunt and a curse in all the places whether I shall drive them. So look who's behind it. I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach. That's what the brother looking at. Said he ashamed to be a black man. A reproach, and a proverb, and a taunt, and a curse. Okay? Says and a curse in all the places where I shall drive them, and I will send the sword and famine, the sword, that's guns, killing, or black on black crime, all that. Marrying white folks, intermingling with them, focusing, putting your mind and your trust in them, and the pestilence among them till they be consumed. from off the land that I gave them and unto them and unto their fathers. So what we're looking at, he's causing them to be the drama you see them doing is causing them to be consumed. He behind it. He causing them to be consumed. Notice what he said. Notice in Ezra, after they came, by the time Ezra get to Jerusalem, they didn't intermarry with the other nations of the land. Same thing this brother said. They're doing the same thing. It's nothing new under the sun. And say that they ain't killing each other and degrading each other and embarrassing themselves, they're marrying into other nations. So there's nothing new under the sun. And we can see those are the characteristics of our God when you're dealing with a wicked ass people. Okay. Any comments?
So, Brother Leonard, does that still apply to, how do I say this, the ones that are being awakened, that is in this truth, that is reading the scriptures and what you just read? Because like I said in Deuteronomy, I think it's chapter 7 where it says, for we are fewest of all people, right? So with that being said, like I say, what you just read, us reading Deuteronomy, Leviticus, Isaiah, so forth, Jeremiah, and we are understanding these scriptures. It is still hard for us to come together and be on one accord, even the ones that are few in number, that is being separated.
Right. It's all about the Lord's timing.
Mm-hmm.
This is timing. It's just like you gotta look at that he told them to go to Babylon. He told them through Jeremiah, you're going to Babylon for 70 years, right? And then we see that's why you hear me keep talking about DNA. There's no other answer for what we see happening now. Because after all we see they did to our records, all they did to us as a people, and for us to now, we got a remnant of people turning back to the scriptures, turning back to the Old Testament section now. That's DNA.
Yes,
the only way that can happen is DNA. So if you go to chapter 9 of Daniel, just like he said, it's his time. You go to Daniel 9, he said 70 years, right? We see that we right around 69 years by them being in Babylon. Daniel, one of the captives. Then we say in the first year of Darius, this is around the 70 years old. The Babylonians, the Medes and Persians came, right? And it says in the first year of Darius, the son of Ahaz of the seed of the Medes, that's the second beast, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. So transfer didn't happen. That's why, so we know the time is there. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of years before the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet. See that? That he would accomplish 70 years. So and the Most High said 70 years. So at 70 years, we see the Israelites, the righteous Israelites starting to line up. DNA. So right now we see us waking up like he did, like he said in Isaiah 44, 1-5. And he's gonna pour his spirit out on us in the last days. On the seed. And we know it's wicked, very wicked figs and very righteous figs. So when he pour his spirit out on them, you're gonna see the difference. The ones that's gonna respond in a righteous way, and then you have some that, just like I said, it's gonna fall off like water on a duck back. It's like pouring water on a duck back. It's gonna roll off. It's not gonna affect them. But the ones that Most High have that righteous spirit in them, that Israelite DNA and has thinking like Hebrew, they're gonna respond to that pouring out of His spirit on them. And that's what we at. So it's all about the Most High's timing. And another example of that is Isaiah when it comes to us getting along as a people, right? So you notice that when our Messiah was in the land of Israel, when David was there, they got along, right? Everybody got along. That's why after he left, at the end of Solomon's reign, he split the nation of Israel up. The Most High is not the one when it comes to righteousness. Is he had Israel together. He started separating Israel because of the sin. So the Israel was divided into two kingdoms, the northern and the southern kingdom. So let's look at Isaiah 6. Just like I was just showing you in Isaiah in Daniel chapter 9, when the 70 years was up, then he started putting the spirit on the righteous seeds, and they came together. So we see right here in Isaiah 60, starting at verse 1, he says, "Arise." So this is after Jacob's trouble, because they got Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble started way back in 143 BC. And then, so we at the end of Jacob's trouble. We're in the latter days when he said he's going to return us, pour spirit out on us, and then he's going to return us back to our homeland. So this right here in Isaiah 60 says, "Arise, shine, for the light has come." That's the prophecy. The light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. So we know in Daniel, Mordecai, and when Daniel was in Joseph was in Egypt, they say that we see the spirit of God is on you. So for what 2,500 years, we know what at least 2,500 years, nobody seen no spirit of God on us. But he says right here, because the time is coming, arise, shine, for the light is come. That his spirit is back on Israel, on the righteous seed, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the whole earth. Everybody else in gross darkness and the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, just like he was seen on Mordecai and Daniel and Joseph and Moses. Verse 3, the Gentiles shall come to thy light. That's what we had amongst the Gentiles, our enemies. And the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see. All they that gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Then here we go, right here. You ain't nothing we can do about it until the time comes. 5, then shall thou see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee, and the forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. There's nothing nobody can do about that. It's like the curses. He said the curses were going to come and overtake us. They came and overtake us. We can't. There ain't nothing we can do about it. They've been on us ever since we was kicked out of the land of Israel. And then he says right here, when the time comes, he's gonna make us flow together, and the whole world gonna see it, because his spirit gonna be upon us, back on us. Okay. Does that make any sense?
Yes, sir. Just have to be patient and wait on the Lord.
Wait on him.
Yeah. Right. Just pray for strength during that time of waiting. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was watching. I had a little time earlier today. I was looking at those. It's called the Power of the Nine. It's like these 9 most prominent sororities and fraternities as black and the HBCU colleges. That's our problem, right there. That's wicked as hell. And that's where all our so-called leaders are. The guy was showing like Martin Luther King, all of them, even when at the motel where he got shot at, the men that was there with him, every one of them was from a fraternity, frat brothers. That's what we're getting in. And when you understand how that works, they allegiance not to Yahweh. It ain't to the God Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They making allegiance to other gods, demons. They ain't making no allegiance to Israel. They ain't thinking like no Hebrews. And so that's what they've done to us. That's what we get all our so-called leaders at. The people that we've been waiting, hoping that's gonna, bring forth some kind of justice for us when they're not working for us. They're working for, like he said, the boule, which means advisor to the king. Everything they do is concerning is for the betterment of the king, which is the white man. And that's why we're in the predicament we're in. And then they the so-called pastors. They ain't getting shit from Most High. Like I said, it ain't nothing but really, you talking about AI, shit, it's been AI. Because all they doing is talking shit that ain't got nothing to do with the Most High. It's what they was learning, what they was given in the seminaries. Even way back in the plantation when the so-called, they had the preacher on the plantation, but the white man was sitting in the church, sitting up there with him. So on certain things he could say, what he didn't condition him to say. That's all he could say. He ain't getting no revelations like Moses and Isaiah and Jeremiah and them. They ain't happening. And that's the same thing today. That's our problem. And that's what he's talking about in Isaiah 60. When the time comes, they're going to see the spirit of the Most High on us. The spirit on us now with that frat shit and all that ain't the spirit of the Most High. And that's our problem. Okay? And just like once you dealing with prophets of awakening and you find out who JC is, even though you get all this information, you still have to, it's like being hooked on a drug. You got to wean yourself off of it because you'll find yourself going back to that bullshit. And so it's the same thing with the system they got in place with our leaders. They all of them out of boule. All of them, they went through that system. So you have to wean yourself off of that, looking forward to listening to what they got to say and uplifting them and taking, and believing what they're saying and believing in them. Because it ain't going to happen. There's a system that's been set up that's against you. Okay?
Yes, sir, right. And when you really dig deep in the fraternities, sororities, whatever you want to call it, and they doing this hazing and you know what I'm saying? That's sacrifices they making, and you dig deep enough, you understand that's nothing but, Greek life. You know, it yeah, that's just,
And then even,
and they
go ahead.
and I was saying these chants that they be doing these shows and so forth, not understanding, what's truly behind it.
Right.
They just want to be part of a social
They know.
circle.
Right. They
Right.
know.
Yeah.
They know,
Yeah.
but you dealing with out ignorance. So
Right.
even down to the sign language, all the signs they use up on the stage. They
Right.
point to their leaders, and you even to the fact that what they're doing, they've been doing it for thousands of years. So it's like the hazing that you're talking about. The video I was watching, the guy was showing you how this is what they were doing in Egypt. When they was that mystery system and all that, and even to the day with the warlords and all those different factions that they got over in Africa today, the same thing. Flogging and bringing pain in order for a person to join their membership. It's a way, it's ritualistic ass shit. It ain't nothing new under the sun. They just, like I said, when you understand who Esau is and what has been done to us, you'll see, like I said, he just took things that, because he well traveled, he just took things that from one place and put them somewhere else. And a lot of it he took out of history. You don't know nothing about it. He took it out of history and he's using it against us. It's something as simple as, like I said, we know it's 200 angels came down through the portal at Bethel, and from there they went to Mount Hermon, but nobody talks about where they went after that. They had to go. It had to be a geographical location they went to. But nobody deal with that. They talk about the Byzantine Empire and all that bullshit, but they don't talk about where these 200 angels went when they left Mount Hermon. They had to go. They had to go somewhere on this planet. Where did they go? You come to find out, it was Egypt. That's where they went. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna go to. Got a couple of. I'm just dealing with some prophecy. I'm tying it with current events, and connect some dots through it. So I'm in second Ezra right quick. And I'm gonna deal with what we was talking about earlier with the BRICS countries and the end time. So it says, let me get it. If I'm not mistaken, it's first. Yeah, it says okay. So I'm gonna start reading right here. It says, this is the meaning of the vision. Let me go back. So just like Daniel had a vision of the fourth beast, he also gave it to Ezra. So I slept that night. It's in first Ezra, second Ezra, chapter 10. So I slept that night and following one, and as he had commanded me, and it came to pass on the second night that I had a dream, and behold, there came up out of the sea an eagle with 12 colored wings and 3 heads. And I looked, and behold, he spread his wings over the whole earth, and all the winds of heaven blew upon him, and the clouds gathered about. And I looked, and out of his wings grew additional wings, and they became small dwarf wings, but his head was resting, and the middle head was greater than the other head, but it was resting like them. So what he's giving Ezra, and this is important information, but it's been taken out. So he's giving Ezra a deeper understanding on the four beasts, because the fourth beast is drawing near. When you understand that the fourth beast is, hold on 1 minute. Let me get this right quick. See what's going on with this. It says the Spirit led me to your page. The witnesses is here, and it's Zerubbabel. He is being encamped by the Lord of hosts. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, it says, so he came and he explained to Zerubbabel. He explained to Ezra that the fourth beast, greater understanding of the fourth beast that's coming. So when you start talking about the beast system and all that, it started when the fourth beast came on the scene. And you can tell that right here by this discussion, by this dream that Ezra had. I'm not going to read all of it. If you want to go back, it's in second Ezra, starting at verse 10. Chapter 10. You can read that. So what I'm going to read is these 2 additional wings at the end. He's going to break them down. So, and we're looking at Russia and China now. It says, and as for you seeing 2 additional wings crossing over to the head on the right side, this is the meaning. It is these that the Most High has kept for the eagle's end. That's what we at now. Like I said, it's a time, a place for everything. Most High, he's the orchestrator of it. For their reign shall be sharp, full of disturbances, as you saw. And as for the lion that you saw rising up out of the forest and speaking to the eagle and rebuking him for wickedness and all his words that you have heard, he is the anointed one, whom the Most High has kept until the end of days, who will spring from the posterity of David and come and talk with them. So we know who that is. This David is the one he's gonna raise up David in the last days. That's the promise he got to David. So we see right here, my point is to focus on these two wings that he had reserved for the end. And when you go to the BRICS, and the driving force behind BRICS is these two, Russia and China. They're the two main characters behind dealing with BRICS. So what I want to do is play this right quick, and then we go from there. Okay.
The G7 and joins hands with the BRICS nations. With the rise of the BRICS countries, their influence is spreading across the globe. French President Emmanuel Macron,
just like he said in Ezra, but nobody knows about the prophecy.
Could take part in the BRICS summit in South Africa in August 2023, as he voiced his desire to participate in the summit. Now this begs the question, can this diverse group of nations reshape the global order and challenge the dominance of traditional powerhouses?
Yeah.
Is the rise of BRICS countries an indication of the impending fall of the United States and its allies? Join us as we delve into the 10 indications that the BRICS are going to take over the world. Number 10, economic growth. BRICS countries have experienced remarkable economic growth since the establishment of the bloc in 2009. In terms of GDP, they collectively accounted for over 27% of the global economy in 2020. China alone contributed nearly 16% of the world's GDP, making it a significant driving force behind BRICS' economic prowess. Brazil, despite facing economic challenges in recent years, remains one of the largest economies in the world. Russia, a major player in energy resources, has seen fluctuations due to oil prices and geopolitical factors, but has maintained its position within the BRICS group. India, with its large and rapidly growing population, has become one of the fastest growing major economies globally. South Africa, though the smallest economy among the BRICS nations, plays a significant role in the African continent's economic development. Number 9, population power. The BRICS countries collectively represent approximately 42% of the world's population, with a total of around 3.5 billion people. China and India, the two most populous nations globally, account for a significant share of this population. China has over 1.4 billion people, while India follows closely with over 1.3 billion. The vast populations of these countries offer immense market potential and labor forces. It drives domestic consumption, fosters innovation, and attracts investments from multinational corporations seeking access to a large consumer base. The growing middle class within BRICS nations further fuels consumption and drives economic growth. The demographic dividend provided by a youthful population has also been advantageous. With a large working age population, BRICS countries have a greater potential to generate productive labor and drive economic development. Number 8, trade expansion. Intra-BRICS trade has been expanding rapidly, reflecting the increasing economic integration among these countries. In 2020, the total trade volume among BRICS nations reached approximately $1.1 trillion, showing the significance of their trade relations. China plays a vital role in intra-BRICS trade, serving as the largest trading partner for all other member countries. The trade flows within the bloc are diverse, encompassing a wide range of goods and services. Machinery, electronics, mineral fuels, and metals are among the major traded commodities. To enhance trade cooperation, BRICS countries have undertaken various initiatives. For instance, the BRICS Customs Cooperation Strategy aims to simplify customs procedures, reduce trade barriers, and promote efficient trade facilitation among member countries. Additionally, efforts have been made to reduce reliance on the US dollar in intra-BRICS trade transactions, with proposals for exploring alternative payment systems. Number 7, foreign direct investment, FDI. BRICS countries have emerged as attractive destinations for foreign direct investment, FDI, drawing significant capital inflows. In 2020, they accounted for nearly 20% of the global FDI inflows, with China and India being the primary recipients of foreign investment. China has consistently been one of the top recipients of FDI globally. In 2020, it received approximately $163 billion in FDI, maintaining its position as the largest recipient among BRICS nations. The country's strong manufacturing base, robust infrastructure, and market potential have made it an appealing destination for foreign investors. India has also witnessed notable FDI inflows. In the same year, it received approximately $57 billion in FDI, primarily driven by investments in sectors like technology, e-commerce, and renewable energy. The Indian government's initiatives, such as Make in India and liberalization measures, have aimed to attract foreign investors and facilitate ease of doing business. Number 6, BRICS currency. A BRICS currency, often referred to as the BRIC, has the potential to challenge the dominance of the US dollar in international trade. The BRICS nations have been discussing the idea of creating a new currency for cross-border trade. During the 14th BRICS summit, held in mid-2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the BRICS countries plan to issue a new global reserve currency and are ready to work openly with all fair partners. While the practical implementation and details of the currency are still unclear, the concept itself has gained attention and could have significant implications for the global financial system. Currently, the US dollar is widely used in international trade, accounting for approximately 84.3% of cross-border transactions. In contrast, the Chinese yuan, one of the currencies proposed as an alternative, represents only 4.5% of such transactions. The BRICS nations aim to reduce their reliance on the US dollar and establish a currency that would facilitate trade among themselves. By using the BRIC for international trade, the BRICS countries could overcome the obstacles they face in escaping the dollar's hegemony. Number 5, poverty alleviation. BRICS countries have made strides in poverty reduction, benefiting millions. China stands out with its efforts, lifting over 800 million people out of poverty since the 1980s, accounting for 70% of global poverty reduction. Policies targeting rural development, infrastructure, education, healthcare, and social safety nets contributed to this success. India also made progress, lifting around 270 million people out of poverty between 2006 and 2016 through programs like the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Brazil achieved significant poverty reduction by implementing programs like Bolsa Familia, providing cash transfers, education, and healthcare, and breaking the poverty cycle. South Africa faces persistent challenges despite efforts in social grants, job creation, and infrastructure development, particularly in rural areas and informal settlements. Number 4, growing middle class. The BRICS countries' middle-class populations have expanded significantly, impacting consumer spending and economic growth. By 2030, the BRICS middle class is projected to represent over 40% of the global middle class, led by China and India. China's middle class has grown rapidly due to urbanization, rising incomes, and consumer spending, and it is projected to exceed 1 billion people by 2030. India's middle class has also expanded, driven by urbanization, economic growth, and a young workforce expected to surpass 500 million people by 2030. This growth creates opportunities for domestic consumption, fuels demand for goods and services, and stimulates economic growth, particularly in retail, consumer goods, housing, and entertainment sectors for domestic and international businesses. Number 3, international reserves. BRICS nations hold substantial foreign exchange reserves, providing them with stability, resilience, and leverage in the global economy. In 2020, their combined foreign reserves amounted to over $5.3 trillion. China holds the largest share of these reserves, accounting for approximately $3.2 trillion. Russia, Brazil, and India also hold significant reserves, with amounts exceeding $500 billion each. South Africa's reserves, though comparatively smaller, contribute to the collective strength of BRICS nations. These reserves act as a buffer against external shocks, support currency stability, and provide a measure of financial security for BRICS countries. They also enable BRICS nations to invest in strategic sectors, support economic policies, and contribute to global financial stability. Number 2, technological advancement. BRICS nations have excelled in technology, becoming key players in various fields. China leads in 5G with the world's largest network, benefiting sectors like autonomous vehicles, smart cities, and IoT. India's 8 industry is renowned globally, offering software and services while also making strides in space technology with successful missions to Mars and the Moon. Russia stands out in aerospace, nuclear technology, and defense, with achievements in satellite launches, manned missions, and space research. These advancements have global implications, fostering economic growth, innovation, and collaboration among BRICS countries and the wider international community. Number 1. Emmanuel Macron's aspiration to be invited to the BRICS summit. Emmanuel Macron's aspiration to be invited to the BRICS summit as the first Western leader is generating intrigue in international diplomacy. People have started speculating that France is going to join BRICS. Macron's active engagement in French foreign policy, particularly in response to Russia's actions in Ukraine, has elevated his global standing. If Macron were to join BRICS, it would have significant implications for the alliance and its quest to expand its influence. Firstly, Macron's inclusion would enhance BRICS' legitimacy and credibility on the global stage. It would demonstrate a willingness to engage with Western leaders and foster dialogue, potentially bridging gaps between the global South and the industrialized West. Now,
Okay. So by listening to that and reading all the prophecy that was over in Second Ezra, we see that these two wings that he was talking about, he reserved for the end to bring the full beast to its end. And we're looking at it. They already stuck their heads out. Gog and Magog, which is Russia and China. Start the process and already start. We at that Daniel moment that I just showed you in Daniel chapter 9, when he went back and looked at Jeremiah's scroll, and he saw that it was 69 years right after he was in the midst of prophecy. And Cyrus that came on the scene, it was time to go back to rebuild the temple and leave Babylon. So we're at that same point right now, but the average person don't know that because of the things that's been done to our scriptures and our knowledge and as like you said in Deuteronomy 28, they're gonna put a yoke of iron around our neck, and then it was gonna stay on there until they destroyed us. Once they destroyed us, who we were as a people, our culture and all that, they took the yokes off. And that's where we at. If it wasn't for Most High's prophecies and His grace and His tender mercies, we wouldn't even be where we are today. The ones that are awake. But all this stuff been already prophesied. I'm just, lining it out for you, putting it in perspective. Okay, so anybody got a comment before we close out? Okay, everybody good?
Good. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock for our reading through the Tanakh. See everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom.